The world as we know it is divided into 7 continents: Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia. These massive landmasses dominate our maps and shape our understanding of global geography. But what if there's another continent, one that's been hiding in plain sight, submerged beneath the waves? Meet Zealandia, a vast, mostly underwater landmass that scientists now recognize as Earth's 8th continent. This revelation challenges our traditional view of the world and raises a tantalizing question: what would Zealandia look like if it rose above the ocean? To answer that, we first need to understand what makes a continent and why Zealandia qualifies as one. Defining a continent: more than just land. Ask a room full of people how many continents exist, and you're likely to get a range of answers: 5, 6, or 7. The number isn't universal because the concept of a continent isn't purely scientific. It's a blend of geology, geography, and cultural perspectives. At its core, a continent is a massive, continuous landmass, but geologists use specific criteria to define one. Size. Continents are significantly larger than islands, covering vast portions of Earth's surface. Even the smallest continent, Australia, dwarfs large islands like Greenland. Geological distinctiveness. Continents have unique geological structures, including ancient cratonic shields, diverse rock types, and a history of tectonic activity like mountain building and erosion. Crustal thickness. Continental crust is thicker, typically 30 to 50 kilometers, and less dense than oceanic crust, about 7 kilometers, allowing it to float higher on the Earth's mantle. Elevation. Most of a continent's surface rises above sea level, though some parts may be submerged, forming continental shelves. Defined boundaries. Continents are usually separated by oceans, tectonic boundaries, or other major geological features. These criteria seem straightforward, but cultural and historical factors complicate things. In many English-speaking countries, the 7-continent model, Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia, is standard. However, some regions combine Europe and Asia into a single continent, Eurasia, due to their lack of a clear geological divide. The Ural Mountains are a minor barrier. Similarly, North and South America are sometimes considered one continent, the Americas, because they're connected by the Isthmus of Panama. In other models, Australia and nearby islands form a broader region called Oceania, reducing the continent count to 5 or 6. These variations show that continents aren't just about geology, they reflect human perspectives. For example, the separation of Europe and Asia is more about cultural and historical distinctions than a definitive geological break. The Suez Canal, which separates Africa and Asia, is a human-made boundary, further illustrating how artificial some divisions are. This fluidity in defining continents makes the discovery of Zealandia, a continent that's 94% underwater, all the more intriguing. Zealandia, the submerged continent. Zealandia, also known as Te Reo-Maui in Maori, is a colossal landmass in the southwest Pacific, stretching over 4.9 million square kilometers, roughly 2/3 the size of Australia. Unlike traditional continents, most of Zealandia lies beneath the ocean, with only 6% of its surface above water, primarily as New Zealand's North and South Islands, New Caledonia, and a few smaller islands like the Chatham Islands. This hidden continent extends east of Australia, from the Coral Sea in the north to the subantarctic waters near New Zealand's South Island. For decades, geologists suspected that the southwest Pacific held more than just scattered islands. Seabed mapping, rock samples, and seismic data gradually revealed a coherent landmass with continental characteristics. In 2017, a team of scientists, led by New Zealand geologist Nick Mortimer, formally proposed Zealandia as a continent. Their research confirmed that Zealandia meets nearly all the criteria for a continent, despite its submerged state. Size. At 4.9 million square kilometers, Zealandia is far larger than any island, comparable in scale to India or Greenland, though Greenland is considered part of the North American continent. Geological distinctiveness. Zealandia's crust contains granite, schist, and limestone, rock types typical of continental crust but rare in oceanic crust. These rocks indicate a complex geological history. Crustal thickness. Zealandia's crust ranges from 10 to 30 kilometers thick, significantly thicker than the 7 kilometers of oceanic crust, aligning with continental characteristics. Defined boundaries. Zealandia is surrounded by thinner, denser oceanic crust, creating clear geological boundaries visible in topographic maps. Elevation. The exception. Unlike traditional continents, most of Zealandia is submerged, with its seafloor sitting at depths of 1 to 2 kilometers, much shallower than the 4 to 5 kilometers of typical oceanic crust. The one criterion Zealandia doesn't fully meet, elevation above sea level, hasn't disqualified it. Geological evidence suggests that Zealandia was once above water, making it a unique case of a drowned continent. Zealandia's geological journey. Zealandia's story begins around 85 million years ago when it was part of Gondwana, the supercontinent that included modern-day Australia, Antarctica, South America, Africa, and India. As Gondwana broke apart due to plate tectonics, Zealandia began to separate from Australia and Antarctica. Initially, it remained above sea level, likely as a sprawling landmass with mountains, plains, and rivers. However, tectonic forces stretched and thinned its crust, much like pulling apart taffy. This thinning caused Zealandia to subside, gradually sinking beneath the Pacific Ocean over millions of years. Today, Zealandia's exposed portions, New Zealand and New Caledonia, offer clues to its past. New Zealand's dramatic landscapes, from the southern Alps to the volcanic peaks of the North Island, are the uplifted remnants of Zealandia's continental crust. These features result from the collision of the Australian and Pacific tectonic plates, which continues to shape the region with earthquakes and volcanic activity. In contrast, Australia, Zealandia's closest neighbor, is tectonically stable with fewer mountains and minimal seismic activity. This contrast underscores Zealandia's unique geological identity. Imagining Zealandia above water. What if Zealandia had never sunk or could somehow rise above the ocean today? Visualizing this scenario requires piecing together its submerged features and imagining how they would translate into a terrestrial landscape. At 4.9 million square kilometers, Zealandia would be a significant continent, stretching over 4,000 kilometers from north to south, dominating the Southwest Pacific. Landscape and topography. Zealandia's submerged regions, such as the Chatham Rise, Lord Howe Rise, and Norfolk Ridge, would form vast plains and rolling hills. These areas, currently shallow seafloors, suggest a relatively flat terrain, punctuated by low plateaus. The submerged ridges that form Zealandia's backbone would emerge as mountain ranges, potentially rivaling New Zealand's Southern Alps in scale. These mountains would create a dramatic spine running through the continent, with peaks rising thousands of meters above the surrounding plains. New coastlines would form along the edges of the risen continent, creating beaches, bays, and estuaries that could stretch for thousands of kilometers. Climate and environment. A-surfaced Zealandia would reshape regional weather patterns in the southern hemisphere. Currently, New Zealand has a maritime climate, with mild temperatures and high rainfall due to its island nature. A larger, continental Zealandia would develop diverse climate zones, similar to North America or South America. The interior could feature drier, more extreme conditions with grasslands or steppes resembling Patagonia's arid regions rather than Australia's desert outback. Coastal areas would likely remain wet and temperate, supporting lush forests like those in New Zealand today. Rivers, fed by mountain runoff, would carve new valleys across the plains, creating fertile regions for agriculture. Flora and fauna. Zealandia's long isolation, even as a submerged continent, has already produced unique biodiversity. New Zealand's flightless birds, like the kiwi and kakapo, and its ancient tuatara reptiles hint at what a larger Zealandia might support. If it had remained above water, Zealandia could have evolved a richer array of species, potentially rivaling Madagascar or Australia in biodiversity. Forests of endemic trees, grasslands teeming with unique mammals, and wetlands hosting specialized birds could dominate the landscape. This lost world would be a biological treasure trove, distinct from Australia's ecosystems due to millions of years of separate evolution. Human settlement. Had Zealandia remained above water, human history in the region would look very different. The Maori arrived in New Zealand around 1200 CE, long after Aboriginal peoples settled Australia around 50,000 years ago. A visible Zealandia with its vast landmass would likely have attracted Polynesian explorers much earlier, possibly as early as 1100 BCE, when New Caledonia was settled. This earlier human presence could have led to advanced indigenous cultures, with settlements spanning the continent. European colonization, beginning in the 18th century, would have encountered a more established human landscape, potentially altering the course of history in the Pacific. Resources and economy. Zealandia's submerged crust holds significant mineral wealth, including oil and gas deposits like the Maui gas field off New Zealand's Taranaki coast. If above water, these resources would be more accessible, potentially making Zealandia a major player in global energy markets. Its fertile plains could support agriculture, while its mountains might yield metals and minerals. Coastal ports along its extensive shoreline could facilitate trade, connecting Zealandia to Asia, Australia, and the Americas. Population and culture. Today, Zealandia's exposed portions, primarily New Zealand and New Caledonia, have a combined population of about 5.4 million, making it the least populated continent by far. A surfaced Zealandia could support a larger population, though it would likely remain sparsely populated compared to Asia or Europe. Its culture would blend Polynesian, European, and indigenous influences, shaped by its isolation and unique environment. Cities like Auckland and Wellington could expand into major metropolises, while new urban centers might emerge on the risen plains. Zealandia's place in the world. The recognition of Zealandia as a continent challenges our understanding of Earth's geography. It shows that continents aren't just about visible land, they're defined by geological characteristics that persist even underwater. Zealandia's story also highlights the dynamic nature of our planet, where tectonic forces can sink entire landmasses over millions of years. For New Zealanders, this discovery reframes their homeland not as isolated islands, but as the visible peaks of a vast continent. If Zealandia were to rise above the ocean, it would transform the Southwest Pacific, creating a new landmass with unique landscapes, climates, and ecosystems. It would also reshape global geopolitics, offering new opportunities for settlement, resource extraction, and cultural development. However, such a dramatic geological event is unlikely. Zealandia's crust is stable in its submerged state, and only catastrophic tectonic shifts could bring it back to the surface. Protecting your digital landscape. Just as Zealandia's hidden nature reminds us to look beyond the surface, managing your digital presence requires vigilance. Personal information, like addresses and phone numbers, is often collected by data brokers and sold without consent. Services like Delete Me can help remove your data from thousands of websites, protecting your privacy. Visit joindemi.com or scan the QR code if available to learn more about safeguarding your digital boundaries. Zealandia, Earth's eighth continent, is a testament to the planet's complexity and the surprises it holds. While 94% of its land lies beneath the Pacific, its geological credentials, size, crustal thickness, and distinct geology confirm its status as a continent. Imagining Zealandia above water reveals a world of towering mountains, sprawling plains, and unique ecosystems, with the potential to reshape human history and global dynamics. Next time you visit New Zealand's rugged peaks or pristine coasts, remember, you're standing on the exposed edge of a hidden continent. What other secrets might Earth hold? Share your thoughts and explore more about our planet's geography.